Hi everybody, I'm Destiny, the founder of the TC Academy, and I wanted to make a video addressing some of the questions that I get regarding what a transaction coordinator does. So let's get right into it. I've been doing real estate transaction coordinating for almost a year. I started in May of 2020 and I ramped it up full time in December 2020 and was able to make more in my business than I was bringing home in my 9-to-5. So what is a transaction coordinator? A transaction coordinator, or a TC as you'll hear me abbreviate it, they assist the real estate agent through each stage of the transaction from contract to close. Contract is when you as a buyer decide, hey, this is my house. You agree to the terms that have been set by the seller and you're agreeing that we're going to pay for this house by the closing date. Closing is when you guys are at that attorney's office signing on the dotted line, ensuring that that house is now yours. Who can be a transaction coordinator? The answer is really and truly anybody, as long as you have a love for administrative work and you are super organized. Those are two of the most important qualities. So if you are working a 9-to-5 and you need an additional stream of income, you can be a TC. If you are a stay-at-home mom and you're looking to add an additional stream of income, you can be a TC. There's no licensure or degree that is required to be a transaction coordinator. However, I will add that the licensure requirement does vary state to state, so make sure to check your state's requirements. What does a transaction coordinator do? Well, in a nutshell, you coordinate the transaction. You want to ensure that all parties, including the buyer, the listing agent, the lender, and the closing attorney, are all on the same page and that you get to the closing table on time. The biggest thing is for the buyer to feel constantly in the loop and always updated. Buying a home is a very stressful process, and as a buyer, the last thing you want to feel is like you're being ignored and you can't get any of your questions answered. So as a transaction coordinator, you want to get ahead of any of the buyer's questions and ahead of any fires that may arise. Trust me, they will arise. In this field, it's important to be proactive instead of reactive. There are a ton of other tasks that are expected to be completed by the transaction coordinator, just depending on the real estate agent that you're working with. One of the most common one includes opening escrow. So basically, when you're buying a house, you will have to provide some kind of earnest money deposit, which is just like a good faith deposit, showing that you are very serious and not going to waste that seller's time. The earnest money deposit is typically 1% of the total price of the home. So if you're buying a $200,000 house, more than likely you're going to be paying $2,000 in your earnest money deposit. Well, this money is held in a neutral account, typically by the closing attorney's office, and it stays there until it's time to close on the home. So then it can either be credited towards the down payment or other closing costs. Next is scheduling inspections. No buyer wants to just move into a home completely blind. So they'll have a whole home inspection completed just to make sure that it is truly in good shape. When they get inspections, the inspector gets down to the nitty gritty. So outside of cosmetic issues, they also look at the structure of the home, plumbing, heating and air, as well as any other electrical issues. So it's very easy to schedule these inspections. In most cases, it is just making an online appointment. You just need information about the buyer as well as the property. Well, once that inspection report comes back, you'll then be tasked with preparing the repair addenda. Basically, you're going to take what's on the inspection report and move it over to the repair addendum, depending on your buyer. Some buyers will want everything fixed before they move in. Other buyers will actually fix most of it when they move in. It just depends on the client that you're working with. Then some negotiations will take place. The seller may fix everything or they may only fix the big issues. You'll have to track the completion of the repairs and gather all the invoices from the seller to ensure that the repairs were completed by a licensed and bonded contractor. Another common task is monitoring the different contingency periods that are outlined in the purchase and sale agreement. This is very, very, very important because if the buyer decides at any time they want to walk away from the sale, if any of these contingency periods are missed, they may not be able to get that earnest money deposit back. Or if any of these periods are missed, they may not be able to close on the home on the desired closing date. Lastly, you're going to work with the closing attorney's paralegal to coordinate the closing process. Depending on the attorney's office that you're working with, it may be just like scheduling an online appointment, or there will have to be some email communication back and forth to ensure that you can get the desired date and time for your client. Now for the golden question. How much can you make as a transaction coordinator? So before we dive into the numbers, one of the big things to note is as a transaction coordinator, you do not get paid until the transaction actually closes. What that means is you might get a contract on Monday, but the closing date may not be set for another 30 days out. Or if it's new construction, that could mean anywhere from 6 to 11 months out. So please keep that in mind. However, as a transaction coordinator, you can get paid anywhere from $200 to $500 a transaction. One thing to take into consideration is, will the real estate agent be paying you out of their commission, or will they be passing your fee on to the client? If they are passing your fee on to the client, it may not be wise to be charging $500, but just keep that in mind as you begin to set your prices. Now that I've answered all of these questions, I do want to tell you about the course that I'm offering called the RETC 101 series. This course gives you the blueprint to successfully start your own real estate transaction coordinator business. Currently, this is a live course that meets every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. While my business is based in South Carolina, I do make sure to provide you with the documents specific to your state. Week 1 is all about getting started. During this week, I will help you develop different marketing and branding techniques to make sure that you attract your target market and in turn reach those income goals. Week 2, that's Real Estate 101 week. We go over the real estate purchase and sale agreement so well that you'll know it inside and out. We also cover other addenda and disclosures that you'll be expected to know, as well as other real estate terms, processes, and hacks. Week 3 is my favorite week. It's Systems for Success. Without systems, any business will fail. So we make sure to establish clear systems so that you can provide top-notch service to the real estate agents and brokers that you'll be servicing. We work a transaction from step A to Z to make sure that you are confident in how to handle every transaction. Week 4 is Business Basics 101. We make sure that you are legally structuring your business the correct way so that if anything were to ever go wrong, all of your assets would be protected. Week 5 is dedicated to a strict question and answer session for anything that we did not cover week 1 through 4. If there are not many questions, we will work sample transactions start to finish and making sure that you know what to do in case of different scenarios. Week 6 is also reserved for a question and answer session, and of course, it's graduation week. So this course is currently being offered for $397. There are different payment plan options. You can either pay the one-time payment of $397, 2 payments of $200, or 4 payments of $99. Our next session starts on Wednesday, June 2nd, and I hope to see you guys in class. Thank you so much.